Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Welcome to another edition of A Not Too Serious Renovation. This is part 3 in a series of 4, maybe 5, depends how it goes. I know it's not my regular programming, if you will, but if you're just new to the channel, my name's Colin. I usually do not too serious adventures by way of mainly fishing, but other things. But I decided to do a little bit of a series on my sauna renovation. I just purchased the barrel sauna a couple weeks ago, and I'm trying to tidy it up to make it fully functional and a little nicer. So I have an ambitious day planned, everybody. I don't know if I'm going to be able to accomplish everything I'm planning. It'll depend on the weather. Apparently there's big old thunderheads coming in here. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to work till it rains. So hopefully I can get done. Today my plan is, by the way, I took like 4 days off because I was pretty hurting from the last days. Plus I had to go fishing. So today's plan, I'm going to fill these rotten areas that I hollowed out. It's been a good couple of days of drying and they seem pretty good. I'm going to try and straighten the back there. Those of you that have been following along with this know the issue I'm having with the back there. It's a little bit cockeyed, but I do have a plan for that. My friend Kevin came over yesterday after fishing, and he talked about it, and we have a plan on how he made a suggestion on how I'm going to turn this whole thing so it's straight and plumb, if you will. So floor, going to straighten this, and I'm hoping I can get well, the subfloor is going to go in, and then the floor, and then I'm really hoping that I can get the benches in. Whew, big agenda, and if all goes well, I might even do some touch-up staining, but I think that's going to be a little bit too much, but you never know. Sometimes projects go smoother than expected. Not very often, but sometimes. Hang in there, everybody. We're going to work.
Life is good!
All right, so next thing I have to do is cut my boards for my board and batten. So my plan is, maybe I'll grab a board here and show you guys. I got one here somewhere. My plan is to, if you look at the cracks here, got some pretty significant ones. This is the biggest one here. I'm going to have to fill that. This one, that was rotten wood. I think I got most of the spongy wood hollowed out. I went around and I tested it with a screwdriver. Some of it might look spongy on the camera, but it's not. It's just more of a dark stain. At least I don't think it is. But it's neither here nor there. So my next phase is I'm going to cut my boards. I'm going to do some board and batten in here. And I'm going to go up to about here. Maybe the third, maybe fourth wall board, or barrel board, if you will, up from the flattest portion of the bottom, which is these two boards here. So I'll cut them. I'm going to start with 6, and then once I got them cut, I'm going to put together my glue, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But for now, let's get cutting. All right, that's 86. Let's see how that works. Now, the question I have right now, is that curve going to be sustainable, i.e. will it stay in place with just screws, combination of screws and well, staples, really. Finishing nail staples, whatever you call them. So you can see I got about 1 inch left there. Maybe not quite 1 inch. So I probably will try and cinch that up a little bit. Just to make it a little neater, because this is going to be replaced right here. I have a template for this, the old board. I've got it templated, and I'm going to replace that later. Anyway, let's go try 87. That's up there. Let's see what happens. I guess I could have went the full 87. But I'm okay with that. That's going to be under the stove, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure, guys. Like I said, I'm not a carpenter. I don't pretend to be. I'm just a guy who tinkers. So I'm not sure what's going to happen to those boards when they start to absorb some moisture, or if they even will, because they're so low. They're the subfloor above the main floor, which is the main floor there against the tree. So do I need to compensate for that? I don't know, but I'm going to. All right, by my calculation, that's 7. It's going to need 7. But I'm just thinking, maybe before I start this, maybe I should try and spin the back there. That way, because a couple of these are going to go real tight. They're going to go real tight to that wall. I got the cut just perfect, because that's what amateurs do. We just guess till we get it perfect. Anyway, I think I'll do that, but yeah, I'll try and straighten that. I'll try and straighten the back, and then I'll come back to the floor here. Hang in there. All right, well, this is the plan. And this was from a suggestion from a friend, and I think it's going to work. I'm going to mount this about dead center here, temporarily. Something like that. And then I'm going to pound on it up underneath and try and set this whole thing around. Try and turn the whole thing. I got to go about 2 inches. I'm going to take this rubber mallet. I'm just going to gently try and break the seal, if you will. Kevin has suggested I take off this exterior strap, but I don't think it's going to make a difference because it's not really tightening the ends. It's got quite a bit of play in it here. And we talked about it last night, and initially I thought that maybe he was on the right track, but I'm just worried about that blowing up. So I'm going to try and budget without taking it off. If I have to take it off, I will. I'm a little bit leery about that. They actually seem pretty loose in there. All right. Fingers crossed. Hopefully I can get this spun a bit. Yeah, that thing's not budging, man. Yeah, that's not budging. And I don't want to come onto her too hard. Risk of pulling that whole thing apart. That's unfortunate. I'm just going to have to dress it off so it looks square to the eye. I really don't mess with it. It's not severe. I mean, some of you might think it's severe, but it's not severe. I mean, because this gap is going to be forgiving. Once you see how I put the stove in, I don't have to put it in tight like this. It doesn't fit that way. I can actually move it cockeyed and then dress it off. But I don't want to go any harder than that. Nope, not doing it. So there's a couple holes in the bottom of the sauna. I've talked about this, I think, in part 1. I'm assuming that either the first or second owner did use the sauna as a bath as well. Meaning they would splash water and I need a drain hole. And that and I aren't doing that. It's just for heat, and then we'll go in and clean up. So been going around the yard here gathering up some pieces of wood that I think will fit in all of those. We'll see. Yeah, that side will work. Okay. And then this one, for the far one, I have to whittle away at that a bit. And I think this one's going to fit perfectly here. Yeah, and then maybe even a second piece in there. All right, we got the hole filling plan. The hole filling plan is complete. Two for two. Okay, well, two of those holes worked out really good. One dropped a bit, but I'll be able to fill that. All right, now we got to go over and we got to make some sawdust. But before we do, let's talk about the glue I'm using here. Again, a lot of this stuff I just learned recently. It's not like I have a warehouse full of knowledge here. That's the beauty of today's day and age. Yeah, I get it. There's a lot of things wrong in the world right now, but one thing I do like is all the access to information we have. Anyway, this is what I've learned is this Type Bound 3. This is a high heat, superior strength glue, and it's going to be able to withstand sauna temperatures. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix it with some sawdust. I'm going to make a filler. Now I have no idea what I'm doing in terms of ratios here. I think I saw somewhere they said 50-50. I think that's going to be too much glue. I want more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a reinforcement. It's I don't know, let's just call it some wood rebar, some wood filler. And we got to make that with some cedar. And we'll mix it all up. I'm thinking I'll just add glue as I go to see what kind of consistency I can get. And then we'll go from there. Hang in there. Some of these big chunks too will help. Got some bigger holes. Bigger holes. All right, that's a decent collection. Just for good measure, I'm gonna see if my sawdust bag on my miter saw has some I can contribute to this. It's pine, but I don't think that'll make too much of a difference. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Stuff's liquid gold, man. Expensive. Like again, I don't really know how much, what the consistency should be here. Purely guessing at this point. Didn't find a lot on the internet about it, but I'm kind of going. So far, I kind of got the mixed texture of a creamy or chunky peanut butter, if you will. Maybe I'll try and reduce that to a smooth, creamy peanut butter. That might be better. Yeah. All right, I'll make another batch. It doesn't have to be pretty, my friends. It truly doesn't, because again, this is, I'm going to board and batten over this. It's going to be a bit of a subfloor. And then there's going to be another floor over top of it. Just trying to get this a little bit more secure here. All right. Going to make another batch. All right. Didn't go quite as I wanted it to, but I'm not completely freaking out about it because it's going to be covered. And I think it'll provide the strength that I need in those bigger gaps. Corners turned out decent. They're going to be covered too. You guys will see, hopefully later in the day I'll get to that. And that's about it. We're going to start the board and batten, I think. And we'll see how she goes. All right, let's see how we made out here. So it's kind of like board and batten, if you will. It's looking a little pleasing to the eye. I might put one more here just for uniformity, rather. Yeah, so it's looking pretty good. I'm pretty comfortable with that. Remember, this is a subfloor. The actual floor is going over top of this. But before I do that, I'm going to seal a couple places on the back there with some high-speed caulking, high-temperature caulking, if you will. A couple other spots here and there, but I have a plan for that too, so we'll see how it goes. My guess is those of you that were going, ooh, that looks like shit, you may be saying, well, I see where he's going with that. Or you might be saying, ooh, that looks like shit. I don't know. Either way. It is hot. Really hot, and I'm getting pretty tuckered. I don't know how much longer I'm going to do this, but hang in there. Okay, how is this providing any more structural strength? Well, when you think about it, this is on a cradle. So essentially about 3/4 of the way up is one of the cradles, and this is the other cradle. And then at the end here, I have two 1x6s that are supporting the front and the back. That was extra, what I decided to do. So essentially, you got to think about it. All these 1x3s, really 1 3/4 inch by 2.5, I suppose. We'll call them 1x3s, are actually now laying on top of that cedar that may or may not have been compromised. I think I got most of the rod out. So it's actually providing extra strength. So even if the cedar, this is my theory, even if the cedar does continue to erode, which I don't think it's going to, because we're not using this as a wet sauna and we're high enough off the ground. But let's just say it does. It's still going to provide extra strength, i.e. you're not going to fall through the floor. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But anyway, I'll tidy up a couple more pieces here and there where I'm seeing big gaps. And then I'll get to it. I noticed a couple gaps here and there I got to fill too. But I might end up just doing that with some high-speed silicone. We'll see. But there's where we're at anyway, guys, so far with the fixing of the floor, or the subfloor, if you will. We're going to carry on here and see what we can do. All right, well, that doesn't look too bad. It covers up most of it. Here I'm not worried about, because the stove is going to be. This piece here is a little bit visible. I might have an issue with that, I don't know yet. I'll see once the stove gets up. But maybe not. Maybe not. I should put one piece down there just to make it at least symmetrical. Maybe I'll do that. Alright, the floor was a bit creaky, not for my liking. So what I've been doing is, because I don't foresee ever having to take this floor out, I put some thought into it. And I'm thinking of just driving some nails in here, staples in here and there, just to kind of help out with this. Seems to be doing a much better job. It's not perfect, but it's not tilting, so We're not dancing in it. We're just coming in to get some steam. All right, there we are. It's level. I just checked it off camera. It's good to go. Pretty happy with it. Do one more double check on it. Oh yeah, here we go. That's for the naysayers. Floor is perfectly level. All right, so I'm happy with that. And it is brutal out here, meaning heat and humidity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tackle these corners first. I'm just going to tackle those corners and then I'm going to call it a day. That shouldn't take too long, but we'll see. I'll slug through her. Hang in there. So basically what I'm going to do, these are going to be my corner repair patches, we'll call them corner patches. The rad's going to be a little tighter, so we're going to have to kerf cut it. I don't know if any of you are familiar with kerf cuttings. I've done it a couple times in my life. Well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two 8-foot pieces and I'm going to cut them in half so I get two 4-foot lengths. What I've learned in my limited experience kerf cutting, and I mean limited, took me a couple times to figure this out and wasted some money. You got to do a test board first in order to get that depth proper. It's absolutely important. You're going to waste wood. It's hard to get that depth proper. Every piece of wood, every piece of lumber rather, every piece of lumber has its own characteristics, its own strength, its own stage of drying, etc., etc. So, and obviously different types of wood. So this one here, I'm going to have to, it's going to take a while. It's pretty dry. It might snap pretty easy. So I got to play around with the kerf. I'm not going to film that because sometimes it takes half hour. I'll let you know when I'm set up. All right, here's my practice piece. Takes a little bit to figure out the spacing, how much lumber or how much material rather you want to leave right here in your cut. It depends. It really depends on what type of wood and again moisture content, etc. But I'd say the rule of thumb is about 1/8 of an inch, so maybe 2 millimeters. I don't know, 3, maybe 2 millimeters. Yeah, but in this case, I don't have a really tight rad, meaning the turn isn't really tight. It's pretty gradual, right? So I don't have to make sure it's really. In this case here, I don't have much of a rad to do. So my spacing doesn't have to be as tight. If you're going to do a complete circle, for example, and depending on the length of the board you have, obviously, but like for example, if I want to do a complete circle with a 4-foot board like this, if it's even possible, I'd have to kerf pretty much everything out of it. Kerf is the space that you create with the saw. So I'm pretty happy with the depth. Remember, you don't want it too much or it's going to break, right? But you got to be able to have some give on it too, right? So let's see how that's going to break. That's no good. So you got to make sure it's just about perfect there. So I'm going to go ahead and start my first board. Now, I don't really. A lot of guys. I mean, it depends how particular you are. You'll go out and you'll measure the spacing. I'm just going to use my eye. I'm not going to get too fancy about it. I don't have to actually start my kerf cut, my first kerf, to about 4 inches in on the board. And then I'm going to try and do about 1.5 inches, 2 inches is all I'll need. Because again, it's not a real tight rad, it's pretty gradual. And we'll see what happens. Let's go through it. All right, that should be good. I don't want to just come right onto it or it will break. You can see my space there. I don't know what do I got there. Probably 1/8. I'm not exactly sure. Let's go see how it looks in the corner and see if I have to tighten up that spacing a bit. I'm thinking 1.5 inches, 2 inches is going to work. That's a fail. That is not going to work. There's too many other contours, if you will, curves that I didn't anticipate. For example, the barrel, it comes in, it narrows, so the board has to be able to flex not only around like this, but like this at the same time. It's not going to work, and it was looking ugly anyway. So I think I'm going to call it a day. It's about 32 degrees here, 0 wind. Look at my birch tree, barely fluttering, 0 wind. So they're going to be part 4 and a part 5, unfortunately. Or maybe fortunately, I don't know if you guys are enjoying this or not. But anyway, I'm going to call it quits for the day. It's just been too much, it's too warm. I just got to cool off. We'll see you next time. Calling out.
Life is good!